Members, next up is House File 1761, Representative Hollins. Representative Hollins moves to refer House File 1761 to the Judiciary Committee. And Representative Hollins, I believe you have an author's amendment as well. Do you wish to move that?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Yes, I would like to move my author's amendment.
Very well. Representative Hollins, your bill is before us, and as such, Representative Hollins moves adoption of the DE2 amendment. And I will admit I haven't looked at the amendment yet. Is this just an author's? I think it's just an author's amendment that puts the bill in the shape that you wish it to be before us. Is that correct?
That's correct. We had a bit of a rush trying to make sure we got through the revisers in time, and so we submitted the language knowing full well that I was going to submit an amendment to correct the language while we work with stakeholders to get more precise.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Representative Johnson, you okay with a voice vote on this?
Yes, I am.
Very well. All in favor, members, all in favor of the DE2 amendment, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion prevails, and House File 1761 is amended with the DE2 amendment. Representative Hollins, your bill is before us in the way you wish it to be.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee members. This bill was written with the belief and understanding that we can come to a bipartisan solution to reduce the carceral state while still maintaining public safety and security. In recent years, Republicans and Democrats nationwide have united around criminal justice reforms related to probation. There are a couple of reasons why. Instead of sending low-risk offenders to prison, probation allows them the chance to remain in their community, which keeps family structures together. It makes workers available to the workforce, and it allows offenders to be rehabilitated. Furthermore, probation allows offenders to keep jobs and earn income, which makes it more likely for them to remain a positive force in their community. And probation is significantly cheaper than incarceration. And with the proper use of probation and proper personalization, we do believe that it can be a cost-effective form of rehabilitation. If people commit a crime, they should be held accountable. But often people under probation supervision are incarcerated for non-criminal technical violations, like not contacting their probation agent. Though the data regarding technical violations is incomplete and difficult to collect, this bill takes a step forward to ensure that people in probation are not sent to prison for their first technical violation. This bill was proposed by the Minnesota Association of Community Corrections Act Counties to provide assurance that policies CCA jurisdictions have in place are being followed, and that revocation is not an available sanction for a single violation of the enumerated conditions that are listed in the bill. It's really intended to strike a balance between providing responsive probation that's tailored to the risk and need of the individual client and ensuring that the court hold probation agencies accountable for following evidence-based practices by not approving revocation requests for a single technical violation. We believe that correctional treatment is better provided through community resources than through confinement. So in situations where someone on probation has violated one of the enumerated provisions and does not present a public safety risk, a probation officer cannot automatically execute a sentence or take them into custody. These technical violations include alcohol use, drug use, curfew violations, failure to report to a probation agent, and any crime that would be considered a petty misdemeanor, like traffic violations. In order to execute a sentence for a first instance of one of these violations, the court must receive a written report showing probable cause to believe the person violated probation, and by establishing a preponderance of the evidence that the continued presence of the person in the community would present a risk to public safety. If a probation agent cannot state why they reasonably believe the person is a risk to public safety while remaining in the community, they will have an opportunity to consider alternative sanctions. I have two testifiers here today to speak to this bill. I believe it's Catherine Johnson from MACAC and Will Cooley from Decarcerate Minnesota Coalition.
Very well, thank you, Representative Hollins. And so let's, I don't know who's going to go first here. Perhaps the person you indicated, who his or her name again is?
I'm believe.
Yeah,
Yes, I believe it's Catherine Johnson from MACAC. We had two originally.
Sorry, I'm shoveling up a bunch of paper here, so I should be paying closer attention as I look through the documents of this bill. Catherine Johnson from MACAC, if you can come forward, state your name for the record and give us your testimony, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Catherine Johnson. I am the Legislative Committee Co-Chair for the Minnesota Association of Community Corrections Act Counties and the Director of the Hennepin County Department of Community Corrections and Rehabilitation. I am here today on behalf of MACAC. The Minnesota Association of Community Corrections Act Counties, or MACAC, represents 34 Minnesota counties that have chosen to provide probation and supervised release services under the Community Corrections Act. MACAC counties can provide community supervision to more than 70% of those on probation or supervised release in the state of Minnesota. I want to begin by thanking Representative Hollins for her work on this bill and her commitment to creating a policy that balances public safety and rehabilitation. Over the last 10 years, probation practice in Minnesota and nationally has changed dramatically. While no system is perfect, community corrections professionals across all three delivery systems in Minnesota strive to provide support and services for our clients through the use of evidence-based practices. While we certainly have a role in enforcing court conditions, our purpose and our goal is to provide rehabilitative services and targeted interventions that reduce recidivism and support clients in a way that prevents future involvement in the justice system while improving community safety. Our agents work with clients to help them achieve success by assessing underlying reasons for their justice system involvement, facilitating access to resources to address those issues, including transportation, housing, employment, education, and treatment, and supporting our clients' efforts at behavior change. Most clients move through the supervision process without violations. Others do not. For those who struggle, our agents try to file a formal violation report as a last resort. There are often many sanctions conferences or violations of probation prior to any request to the court for revocation of a stay of sentence. That said, we also recognize this is not always the case. We understand that probation agents are not perfect and are subject to the same stresses as other criminal justice professionals. This bill would provide an additional way to ensure that minor violations that do not have significant public safety implications do not result in revocation and commitment to prison as a first step. It requires a higher standard of review by judges of recommendations from probation to ensure that those recommendations are consistent with evidence-based practices. It also allows our agents to use discretion in instances that do pose a significant risk to public safety. One example here might be a domestic abuse situation that is intertwined with substance abuse. Treatment is always the best option, but safeguards need to be in place for victims in the event of relapse by the client. We know that for some, this bill does not go far enough, and for others, it goes too far. We recognize that it may not be perfect, but hope to continue to work on the language with Representative Hollins and our other stakeholders as this bill continues through the legislative process. Also with me today is Midge Christensen, the other co-chair of the MACAC Legislative Committee and director of 6W Community Corrections in West Central Minnesota. We both thank you for your attention, and we will remain on the call for any questions you might have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate your testimony and your work, as well as that of Mr. Christensen. Next, we have Will Cooley of Decarcerate Minnesota. If you can come forward, state your name for the record and give us your testimony, we'd appreciate that.
County, members of the committee, my name is Will Cooley, and I represent the Decarcerate Minnesota Coalition. So let's get right to it. Technical violations are costly and a measure and do not often contribute to enhancing public safety. They're a major cause of criminal justice dysfunction. In 2017, 65% of prison admissions in Minnesota were for supervision violations. These violators are warehoused for a short time and re-released without having underlying issues addressed. The stint in prison creates disruptions in people's lives, exacerbates reentry challenges, and increases recidivism. Long periods of incarceration for non-crimes can cause people to lose their jobs, homes, and even custody of their children. The effort to reform technical violations came from the grassroots. Incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people put this issue at the top of our agenda. And to help craft these reforms, we've engaged stakeholders across the state, including DOC officials, prison guards, supervision agents, judges, and prosecutors. For example, we reached out to Violence Free Minnesota, a statewide coalition working to end relationship abuse. In a survey of their membership, 82% supported technical violations reform. We also presented at reentry coalitions. Many service providers expressed support and spoke of their frustrations in working with clients only to see them sent to prison on technical violations. When they get out, the providers have to start all over with housing, employment, treatment programs, etc. As many of you know, the racial disparities for Native Americans in probation revocations are off the charts. We have received feedback from the Northwest Indian Community Development Center, and they have laid out a path to community corrections that stresses local accountability. But they need the resources that are currently going to warehousing people and churning them in and out of prison. This bill is one of the first steps towards ending mass incarceration by de-emphasizing punishment and reinvesting in people. It incentivizes the use of community resources to find solutions and prevent crime. As the bill states, revocation should only be used as a last resort. As Representative Hollins said, this is not a partisan issue. 30 states have already passed technical violations reforms, including Alabama, Mississippi, and Utah. There's no reason Minnesota can't join them. Finally, we'd like to thank Representative Hollins and Representative O'Neill for putting forth bills on technical violations. People on supervision do not have well-heeled lobbyists. They cannot vote. They have made mistakes, to be sure, but they often have been dealt a difficult hand in life. In short, these representatives, O'Neill and Hollins, have acted on behalf of the least of us, and we ask you to join their cause and pass their bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Your sharing of the impact on our prisons evoked for me several conversations I had with both guards and residents at Stillwater over several visits, within the last couple of years. And this issue almost always came up, and it came up in sort of really practical ways. It's like, representatives, stop sending us those people. I mean, they're disruptive. They're only here for a short time. They're not going to participate in anything meaningful. And they just really get in the way of the work that we have to do, either as guards or residents who are looking to, have a meaningful rehabilitative, corrections experience, process. So I find a lot of powerful truth in what you shared here with us today. Representative Hollins, that's all I have for testifiers. So let's move into a discussion with the committee, and we'll begin with Representative O'Neill. Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Hollins, for the bill. The DE was quite expansive. Your initial bill was just a couple paragraphs, and this is over 4 pages. So I'm trying to get up to speed to the changes that you've made. One concern I see that's consistent from the original bill to this bill is that, well, let me back up. So the bill that I've done and the bills I've done in the past, it doesn't order the court to do this or do that. And my concern here is that we're actually tying the court's hands and telling them again that the court must or may not. In this case, it's the court may not. I have a concern with that. In all the bills that I've drafted in all these years, I haven't done that with the court. And so I have a concern there. I also wonder, and I'm wondering if maybe one of the testifiers, or maybe even if Commissioner Schnell is still on the line, if you could speak to how often does somebody actually have their probation or conditional release revoked for one technical violation? In my studies, it's fairly rare. It seems that probation officers are pretty understanding, and they become more and more understanding to try to restructure or to try to seek treatment. And so I'm really curious why it says just one technical violation, because at least in my experience, that isn't really who's ending up back into jail or prison. So I'm wondering if maybe Commissioner Schnell or if the author knows the actual statistics of admissions into either jail or prison, or the revocations based on one technical violation, especially of this type of the lower level technicals.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. Let's begin with the author, Representative Hollins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative O'Neill. That's a great question, and it really gets to the crux of what a lot of our discussions with stakeholders have been around. There, by all accounts from MACAC, there is not, people are not frequently having their, being put into prison for a single violation. Technically, or typically, that is not what happens, although technically they could. And so what this really seeks to do, in my understanding, is to codify that this shall not happen for this single violation. We don't, as far as I know, MACAC does not have all the statistics on this, and nobody really has the statistics on it precisely, because there are times when when a probation officer will not report it or not ask for the revocation because of a single instance, and then wait until there's multiple instances and then ask for the revocation, putting them all together. But probably somebody from MACAC can speak more to the statistics on it. And sorry, my final point was this was really trying to find some common ground where we can all agree that we don't want a single instance of these low level violations to result in somebody being, result in somebody losing their probation status. But I will turn it over to somebody from MACAC to be able to maybe communicate that a little more clearly than I have, as not a professional in this realm.
Let's give that a try. Ms. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Hollins, I think the point you make about the lack of statistics, and I think Representative O'Neill, you said something very similar about the fact that we don't know for sure. And part of that stems from what I think you were driving at, Representative Hollins, which is that many of our agents don't file formal violations reports on the very first violation. And that is, I think, what is striking to me in this opportunity we have to formalize that sort of standard. It is the way in which we operate most often. And so by the time a violation report, a formal violation report is filed, it is generally not someone's first violation because of the work that our agents do with those clients to address those underlying issues on the front end.
Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if Commissioner Schnell is still on the line, because he really has a lot of information and a lot of facts. And he and I've talked about this quite a lot, as you can imagine. I'm just wondering if he could offer some advice.
Sure. Let's see if he's still here, Commissioner. He may not be here. Is there anyone from the Department of Corrections? I know they're back and forth between this and another hearing. All right, let's see if they do pop up a little bit later. We can get to your inquiry, but you may have some other inquiry or points that you wish to emphasize.
Just again about the path in the Senate. It was just introduced, I believe, on the 17th, 2 days ago in the Senate, and we are at second deadline, and so my concern is if you're going to be sending this out of our committee, I think it's going to judiciary, which is an appropriate place. They can really deal with, ordering the court to do or not do something. I'd love to hear what they have to say about that. But I don't know, is the path then, Mr. Chair, to come back and maybe be in your omnibus so that it wouldn't be as much okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, because I would just be concerned that we'd have this conversation here and then it wouldn't really go anywhere because it just got introduced in the Senate side. I only bring this up again because we're at second deadline. Okay, I think short of having some information from DOC, it would have been nice to have them testify to this, because again, in my many years of doing this, I don't really think that the first violators really do get, have their conditional release or probation revoked. They aren't revoked typically. I've never heard of a case in my studies, but maybe there are some. I just think maybe that a different approach might be a little bit more helpful than this approach. Just my suggestion.
Yeah, let me ask staff to keep tabs of our DLC folks. If they're aware when they show up, we can pull them in. I do see Ms. Stark, I think, wants to respond. Ms. Carly Stark?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative O'Neill, I just wanted to say that one reason that the DOC probably is not testifying on this, or that we didn't reach out to them, is because this doesn't relate to supervised release revocation, which is what they mostly deal with through their hearings and release unit. So they won't have the data on the majority of cases because that's county data. So counties supervise through the 2 county systems, 83% of individuals in the state. So though DOC has the data housed within them, they may not have the reports pulled to know how that works or what the numbers say.
Very well.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative O'Neill.
I'm sorry. It's just that it was such a big DE that I'm still trying to make my way through it. But if the author could just let me know exactly which violators. So are you, like she said, it wasn't conditional release. And so what does this cover to the author?
Representative Hollins.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question, Representative O'Neill. This covers individuals who are directly placed on probation. So not folks who are on conditional release, but just folks who did not go to prison, had to stay, and then are on probation. So it's very limited. And part of the reason is because we're working with so many different stakeholders, trying to find that common ground where we can all agree on something.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now I've got it. Thank you. That makes more sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. Representative Johnson. And I'm sorry, Representative Johnson, I'm sorry. I apologize. I do see Mr. Cooley, I think, wanted to comment on this last point. Mr. Cooley?
Very briefly, Robina Institute has been working on this in Ramsey County, I believe. And so Representative O'Neill, I will make sure you get that data. I think what they found, though, is it is happening on a first violation more than we would like to think, although it might be in regards to what Ms. Johnson said about people not filing and then sending someone back, which I think we need to do. We need to have these filed because that adds legitimacy to the process, and so everyone is on the same page when they are sent back. And so I think this bill could be very helpful in adding that legitimacy, which is so important.
Helpful. Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Representative Johnson.
Chair Mariani, Representative Hollins, I understand what you're trying to do here, and I agree with a number of things in here. I do know, working with probation officers in the past, 1 violation does not send them back. 2 usually doesn't, unless they're serious violations. 3 or 4 might get them to see the judge, and so on. But I do have on page 4 on section B, trying to find it again. Oh, no, I'd lost that section that I was reading.
Probably section 4. That's the last section, and that's on page 4, 3 and 4.
Wasn't section 4. It was
14.
it dealt where a person there it is. Yeah, may not section 4.14 to 4.21 section B, where it says that the court may not direct the person to be taken into immediate custody unless the court receives a written report signed under penalty of perjury pursuant to section showing probable cause that person violated probation and so forth. But it and a continued presence in the community via potential risk to the public. My concern is if there are risks to the public, do you have to wait 3-4 days to get to court to get that person off the street? If there are risks to the public, they should not be on the street immediately. And get them into court. So I do have a problem with that section. I think it needs to be worked on. Because if somebody's a danger to the public, we can't have them out there. It's a public safety issue. I understand all the other technical violations, but I think you should also have some other circumstances involved, like, and I see a person might lose his job because of layoffs or something like that, and no longer have an employment. But you also have to look at what was caused the dismissal from employment. Was it a layoff? Did they do something that was dangerous to somebody else? Were they threatening to other employees? Was involved in a theft issue? So I think we need to look at it a little more clearly, a little more focused. Do we want them to go in on the first minor violation? Absolutely not. But if there are extenuating circumstances to that violation, they need to be able to look at that. And I do hope this is going to judiciary where we can see it again. But I also have an issue on which Representative O'Neill brought up. The court is a separate branch of government, and I don't believe we have the authority to tell them what they can and can't do. That would be their judicial rules. So that's something that needs to be worked on. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Johnson. I do see Representative Hollins that Ms. Christensen wanted to, I think, comment on this. Is that okay with you, Representative Hollins? Ms. Christensen, please identify yourself and a brief response.
Thank you, Chair Mariani. Yes, this is Midge Christensen, 6 West Community Corrections, and I'm also a MACAC legislative co-chair. Representative Johnson, to your concern about the immediate detention issue, we also had that concern in working with the author, Representative Hollins. And if you note on line 1.24, this does still allow under 609.14 that corrections agents can hold someone that they believe is a risk to public safety under their own authority for that immediate safety issue, to be followed by the violation report that is noted later. So we as a association, at least in speaking on behalf of MACAC, we were assured and we feel comfortable that we do still have the ability to intervene in those immediate public safety risk situations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Christensen. Representative Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to express my support for Representative Hollins' bill, and for, I think this is a really important issue to try to help reduce revocations. And we know that they should be a last resort, but I think also know that unfortunately too often they're not. And I think this bill will help us move in the right direction. Mr. Cooley brought up the Robina Institute work that they were doing with Ramsey County, and our bipartisan criminal justice reform caucus heard just this week from Robina Institute on that work. And I think that one of the interesting things they noted is that with the pandemic, there have been a lot fewer, they've been trying very hard to avoid sending folks to prison to the extent that they can, and that they've been very creative and worked really hard to try to keep people out of prison. And that I think lesson has shown that there are alternatives for a lot of folks in a lot of circumstances to revocations and to prison. And so maybe that's one good thing that can come out of this past year, is that we know that when folks put their mind to it, that we can avoid revocations, can avoid putting people back in prison to the extent possible. And so just wanted to thank Representative Hollins for her good work.
Yeah, thank you, Representative Long. Representative Otney.
Thank you, Chair Mariani. Thank you, Representative Hollins, for bringing this forward. And it sounds like you're willing to, do some tweaks, and I hope we can do that. I think the important thing of this bill is that we make sure that the people that are on this low level of probation don't let that fear of being revoked keep them from seeking out help in the situations if they're the victim or reporting a crime against them. So for that reason, I will be in favor of it, because I want to make sure there's not that block between someone seeking help, or if, like I said, they're a victim, I want them to be able to reach out, or a medical situation or anything where they would come in contact with police, that, or even if they're a witness. I've had situations where that has come up. I've had a great working relationship in the past with the probation officers, like Representative Johnson had mentioned. They're good people and they've got a good heart. And as long as we just codify that and we don't overreach, I'll be in favor of this.
Very well, thank you, Representative Omni. Representative Johnson, then we're going to move to a vote.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of things in this bill. I would suggest that Representative Hollins, when it goes before it gets to judiciary, we'll deal with that issue with the conflicting statutes between the Section 1 and Section 4. With their conflicting like that, I think it needs to be clarified a little better.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Johnson. Representative Hollins, last quick, brief words of wisdom, and then we'll move to a vote.
I'll be very quick. I just want to thank the committee and thank you, Mr. Chair, for this great discussion. I want to thank the testifiers for their time and energy on this and the work that we've all put into it. And I also want to give a big thanks to Ben Johnson, House Research, who has been helping us to draft this and work with all the stakeholders. He's been amazing. So with that, I would ask for your support and I renew my motion.
Very well. Yeah, Ben Johnson's pretty good. Not bad. All right. Representative Hollins renews her motion that House File 1761 as amended be referred to the Judiciary Committee. Your clerk will take the roll.
Chair Mariani.
Aye.
Chair Mariani, aye. Vice Chair Frazier.
Aye.
Vice Chair Frazier, aye. Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Johnson, aye. Representative Edelson.
Aye.
Representative Edelson, aye. Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Feist, aye. Representative Grossel.
Aye.
Representative Grossel, aye. Representative Hollins.
Aye.
Representative Hollins, aye. Representative Hewitt.
Aye.
Representative Hewitt, aye. Representative Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Representative Cleavorn, aye. Representative Long.
Aye.
Representative Long, aye. Representative Lucero.
Yes.
Representative Lucero, aye. Representative Mueller.
Mueller votes yes.
Representative Mueller, aye. Representative Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Representative Novotny, aye. Representative O'Neill.
Neil, no, at this time.
Representative O'Neill, nay. Representative Pinto.
Aye.
Representative Pinto, aye. Representative Poston.
Aye.
Representative Poston, aye. Representative Raleigh.
Raleigh, aye.
Representative Raleigh, aye. Representative Vang.
Aye.
Representative Vang, aye. Representative Zhang, excused. That concludes roll call with 17 ayes and 1 nay.
Okay, with 17 ayes and 1 nay, the motion prevails. And House File 1761 as amended is referred to the Committee on Judiciary. Thank you, Representative Hollins.